This is the cover page to the exam. Ideally, you should still have your formula sheet from exam 2, your formula sheet from exam 3, and a new one for this one. If you have lost or mislaid one of those formula sheets, you may recreate it. You are permitted up to 3 handwritten pages, one side of one page for each of them. Ideally, they should cover those materials. I'm going to be looking for, like I did on previous exams, worked out examples. If those are on your exam, that's a problem. That's a deduction. Otherwise, definitions, formulas, rules, go for it. Didn't get docked on it before. That's the sort of thing I'm looking for this time. What questions do you have for me about the final? Yes, sir.
Just about the. I don't have the one. Can I combine the first? I don't need 3.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, up to 3. Up to. So you can absolutely use less. And if they're new, I'll initial them at the start of the exam. You'll turn them in with your exam. You'll also get the tables. All of the tables we've used to this point, you'll get them again. Yes, sir. Yep, the exam is comprehensive, all the way back to the beginning. What else do you want to know? That help? Everything I say will be on the exam. What do you want to know? Yes, sir.
Is there anything in Canvas like being posted?
I did not post a new sheet this time, I believe. Let me double check that really quickly because I can just go back to the files page. It would be in that exam section. Yeah, samples, questions, assigned problems, lots of examples, homework keys. Nope, there wasn't a final exam info sheet like there was for the other 3.
There's keys.
Yeah, the old keys for the exam, absolutely. Doesn't make sense for me to just say, here, have fun. No, I've got the keys for the old exams are up. Between that, the homework keys, I think you'll have seen everything that shows up.
Questions from all the exams, or are they like different numbers?
Oh, they're different numbers and stuff. They're different settings and stuff, but they're similar ideas. Like there was a problem on weights of cars. I think it was the uniform distribution problem on exam 2. Okay, maybe I'll do a uniform distribution problem on, what was that? Was one in the book about fish. So maybe I'll do it about fish. Maybe I'll do it about ages of applicants to a particular job. Maybe I'll do it about noise levels, whatever it is. I'll just change the setting, but the problem will be very similar. Yeah, there's no reason for me to reinvent the wheel here. I emphasized these things before. I want to reemphasize those things now. It is unlikely that I will pull a question you've never seen before ever out of my hands. I don't like doing that. There's another hand. Yes, ma'am. The exam is 20 numbered questions, but everything has multiple parts to it, right? I think I didn't count all the parts, but I think if I go through and look at points, more of it is on the material from exam 2 and exam 3 than exam 1 and the more recent material. I have that breakdown. Is that this sheet? That's this sheet. So according to this, exam 1 is 26 points. Exam 2 is 39 points. Exam 3 is 37 points. And then the new material, chapters 11 and 12, is 28 points. Oh, and then there's a bonus. No, you'll have 2 hours. Yeah, I was going to say the exam, you get a lot longer for this exam. This is Wednesday at 3:30 to 5:30. You should have all received an email from me last week, on like the third Tuesday last week, with a schedule for what my week looks like, because my office hours get changed starting tomorrow. So it's got all the times I'll be over in the Enrichment Center for office hours and opportunities for you all to talk to me, because I have 2 exams tomorrow and 2 exams Wednesday, and then I'm grading for the rest of the week. What else would you like to know? Yes, ma'am.
What's the passing grade?
The passing grade in this course is a D- or better, officially. But remember that you need a 2.0 average in your major, a 2.0 average in every course that counts towards the liberal arts curriculum, and a 2.0 major average, a 2.0 average overall to graduate. So while you can get a 1 point whatever and pass this course, you gotta work the numbers for the rest of it, right? Passing is anything except failing. And that's only one thing, an F. It was a very interesting discussion. We used to have a requirement that you needed a C- or better to move forward. So what's a D? It's not a failing grade, but it's not a passing grade? What the hell? We changed it. It was a big discussion at the faculty senate for a couple of months. Oh, and if you look on the syllabus, the actual grading scale is indicated. I believe a passing grade is a D- is a 60%. So now you can go back and work through the rest of that because you have the grade book on Canvas. I'm not worried about it. I think y'all are passing, no problems.
What would you say, like, the best way to study would be, like, go through the old exams, or do you think go through, like, the practice problem?
I would go through the old exams. I would go through practice problems similar to the ones you see on the old exam. The samples that are provided, both in-class examples and sample problem sections in the Canvas page will definitely help there. But yes, I would start with the exams and then the homework problems.
And then, like, for, like, chapter 12, like, if there are questions on that, it'll be, like, the graphs will be done for you.
Yeah, I will have to provide you with all of the scatter plots and the ANOVAs and anything that you would have gotten out of Excel, I'll have to generate. And then it'll be, what does this mean?
Yeah.
I will post that homework key this evening, so you'll have that to study from as well. Homework keys. Chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, all of them, and the Excels. I'll post chapter 12 right down here at the end of when I sit down to do the grading tonight. I'll make sure that homework key goes up. I just realized I think I forgot to change it to say final exam, and it says exam 1 at the top. Oops. I changed the rest of the title page properly.
guess is 60.
Go back and look at the syllabus. That's why that's up there. I have my paper copy somewhere. University-wide grading scale. Canvas, announcements, policies, procedures, grading scale. Yep. There you go. I'm pretty sure y'all are doing better than that at this point. I'm not worried. Yep. 3:30. 2 hours. Talk to me, people. What else do you want to know? Yes.
So for chapter 11 and 12, like since it was
You'll see exactly the charts we generated from the ANOVA, the scatter plots and the charts we generated from regression. If I need residuals, I'll have to give you those. If I need any of the confidence interval pieces that came out of the ANOVA charts, I'll have to give you that. I don't expect you to do any of the ANOVA calculations by hand. That was nauseating.
So like what you're saying, like for 11 and 12, there's not.
Well, there are lots of formulas you could use, right? We had all of these things about what our F idea was, F stat, F calc was in the ANOVA stuff. What were the differences between the different ANOVA? But were there not a lot of specific formulas in here because we did a lot of that calculation work on, right? But something like, okay, what type of ANOVA is it? If I'm just looking at this right here, what kind of ANOVA will you be doing? What was that? It looks like it's two-factor, but there are two different versions of two-factor. With repetition or without repetition. Well, look at each treatment. I've got 3 different dates. I've got 4 different plants. Within each box, I have 1 item. Within each box, there's only a single number. So that's without repetition. But they're two-factor without repetition, but they're only really concerned with the plants. They really are, with plants as opposed to dates. But I'm doing a two-factor because both could be affecting what's going on here. If I then give you something like the ANOVA output, you could tell me, oh, here, hold still. Here's the result of my ANOVA. Are either the rows or the columns statistically significant? Again, remember what the null and the alternative hypotheses are for an ANOVA. The null hypothesis is everything's equal. And the alternate hypothesis is none of it's equal. There's at least one that's broken somewhere, whether it's a row or a column. And I have to do a p-value for each of those. I have to do a comparison, my F calculated versus the F critical. So I have all 3 of those columns right here. Those p-values are really small, aren't they? And when the p-values are small, we reject the null hypothesis. my calculated F values are much larger than my critical values. So I'm way out there in the reject region. Remember, we were shading in the outsides, not in the middle. So I reject my null hypothesis. Both rows and columns are effectively important here. Now, in this case, this one was about acceleration, pedal rotation, and initial speed of a biker. Okay. We'll go to the Olympic trials and find out whether it matters. Yeah, what formulas am I going to use here? I'm going to use really the null hypothesis, the alternate hypothesis, what matters where, and what do I look for? As long as I don't write down a worked out example, I'm happy about that. More questions? Ask me more things. Yes.
So I'm looking back at chapter 11. One of the questions is like, is the mean rating affected by age group and or service type?
Yes.
If you ask a question like that, you need two sets of hypotheses.
Right. One for the age group, one for the surface type. And remember, in an ANOVA, the assumed null hypothesis is they're all equal regardless of which age group. They're all equal regardless of which surface type. So in that case, I'd be saying that the average rating is the same regardless of row, regardless of column. One set for the rows, one set for the columns.
So like that, like say one is affected.
You'd be able to tell based on the two different F's and the two different P's that we got.
So it would be like it's
Exactly. And it is possible that both affect, one affects, or neither affects. When I'm doing a two-factor ANOVA, the interpretation part is what I'm going to be able to turn around and tell my boss, hey, this piece matters, this piece doesn't. Because really, my boss is going to ask me, hey, Sassmore, does the does the pH of the blood affect the length of time for the insulation on the wires to degrade? I did a summer internship at a pacemaker company. That was one of the legitimate questions. You're going to feed a wire through the heart, down the blood vessel to a spot where we have the pacer, either down here at the hip or up here at the shoulder. Will the pH of a person's blood affect the coating and the insulation behavior of that? So we did a bunch of studies on stuff like that. Interestingly enough, the answer is no. Blood pH does not affect that coating. These blood coatings are pH neutral, as long as you are in a state where you are actually still alive. If your blood is hydrochloric acid like the aliens, then it dissolves our plastic. Don't worry about it. There's an old sci-fi movie called The Andromeda Strain. It's a Michael Crichton novel, same guy who wrote Jurassic Park, but it's much older. The movie came out in the 70s, where the only two people who survive a giant infection are the alcoholic, who's so much of a drunk that he drinks sterno, which is wood alcohol, and the crying infant. Crying infant is hypoxic and has altered his blood chemistry by screaming for days straight. And the alcoholic has gone alkaline the other way. So they're the only two with blood pHs out of range, and they're not affected by the infectious agent. All the things to end up actually having to test at one point. More questions? I have nowhere else to be. My next class is in this very room. So I'm going to stay here till 3 o'clock. If you're not going to, I don't have a reason to nail your butts to these chairs. I will give you the key to the chapter 12 homework. I will have grades up this evening, I hope. If you have somewhere else you'd rather be, I will see you all on Wednesday. Otherwise, feel free to sit around and keep asking me questions. If you have stuff for me, come give it to me and I will give you stuff back. Otherwise, auf Wiedersehen. I'm not going to hold you down.
Yeah.
Wrong folder. This folder.
I guess I have a question.
Yes.
How would you recommend going about, I guess, which questions to study the most? Would you say maybe study the ones that are worth the most points, or is it?
I would go back and study the ones that you got the wrongest so that I can reinforce the thing I didn't know,
Okay.
because obviously I did well on the things I do know.
Yeah.
I would go through that way. And then I would say, all right, now that was from this chapter. Let me go look at another similar problem out of either the text or out of the Canvas page examples.
Yeah.
In terms of study the things that are worth the most points. With 130 points floating around on this exam, I don't think any part of any question is worth more than like 3 or 4. There are a lot of little question parts. So I really can't say, oh no, this is going to be 35 points to the exam, study this.
Yeah.
To say, that's what that part was for. That's about the best as I can give you at this point.
So obviously, though, probably focus on the middle too.
Sure.
A little more than the others.
Well, but those were the ones that we did the most calculation work for, right? Because the first chapter was all of the types and rules, and then the descriptive statistics, mean, median calculations, things like that. And then this last stuff, there were only 2 chapters, each 3, so I did try and break it out appropriately.
All right.
And then we'll come in and line everybody up again and hand out the exam. In our hats. I was gonna say, it's late in the afternoon. You can take a shower midday, have a whole, don't have to wake up early or any of that. I got 2 other classes for the 8 a.m. exams.
I feel like this